Okay, everyone. Hello there. Talking quietly because it is 12:30 a.m. and I can't sleep. Okay, this is uploaded. So, your first drawing tutorial. It's uploaded for those who need it. And for those of you who do not know me on Google Plus, you can check out my Google Plus, but I'm going to tell you anyway in this reading. But reaction videos are going to be delayed. I'll still record them, don't worry about that. I'll save them to the computer, but they're going to be delayed. I run into a bump, and they can't really be uploaded, but don't worry. These readings, these drawing tutorials will still come. They just might not have your picture, but I'm trying something new. And I'm getting messages, so don't mind that. Let me turn off the notification for messages. Disable sound notifications. Yes. So I've had a bump in the road. Reaction videos will be delayed. And I'm sorry that I have to say this, that they are going to be delayed. And I won't have any photos overlaying. It's hard to do that. But right now I'm trying something. Let's turn this down, why don't we? I'm trying something. I'm recording this on a voice recorder that I got on my phone. I'll see if I can get it to the computer. See if I can put it in as like music, and then put a cover photo like that. But reaction videos may not work like that, because then I'd be sure to get copyrighted. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. For those of you who really enjoy my reactions, I'm sorry. I'm in a bump because I was planning on recording some reactions, and now I can't really record them. But don't worry, I'll be back. Maybe all I have to do is work with my mom, save up money, and get a laptop of my own. So my brother passworded this computer, and I can't. And he made a new account. I don't know the password, but he made a new account. And yeah, he made the new account. And so without that password, I can't download my AV4S video editor that I was using. So don't worry, I'll get past this bump in the road. Nothing ever stops me. So, anyways, this is chapter 5. This may be split into 2 parts because it is such a long chapter. Let me take you away from the computer, because I'm not going to read this chapter. I'm not going to read this chapter in the chair. In the chair that I have, because it's like a kitchen table chair. They're not meant to be sat in for so long. So, let's see. Yeah, you can still hear me. Anyways, this is chapter 5. It is called Clave and Covenant. This is when Clary basically really finds out about the Shadow Hunters and what they are and all that jazz. Now I gotta explain this to you. I will be breaking whenever a new line, because in these first two pages, well, there's a short little part of like four talkings, but it's only two people, and then it happens again later, but it's like that because Clary doesn't know who's talking, and even though this is in third person, or author's view, narrative view, they don't want to spoil that. Plus, you can find out if you look at the last, if you look at some of the, like, Isabel and Alec, that's in those. So, I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you who is talking, because I do know. So, this is Isabel. This is so you guys don't get confused, because it can be confusing when you don't have the book in front of you. Do you think she'll ever wake up? It's been 3 days already. That was Isabel. And here's Alec. You have to give her time. Demon poison is strong stuff, and she's a mundane. She hasn't got runes to keep her... I'm already messing up. To keep her strong like we do. This is Isabel now. Mondays die awfully easily, don't they? And you can tell that this is Alec. This is how I was able to tell that Isabel started. Isabel, you know it's bad luck to talk about death in a sick room. So, yeah, they're in the infirmary of the Institute. And this next part is like kind of a spoiler, but you don't know it yet, and it happens throughout the entire series. But it's like a spoiler. 3 days, Clary thought slowly. All her thoughts ran as thickly and slowly as blood or honey. I have to wake up. But she couldn't. The dreams held her one after the other, a river of images that bore her along like a leaf tossed in a current. She saw her mother lying in a hospital bed, eyes like bruises in her white face. She saw Luke standing atop of a pile of bones, Jace with white feathered wings sprouting out of his back. Isabel sitting naked with her whip curls around her like a net of gold rings. Simon with crosses burned into the palms of his hands. Angels falling and burning, falling out of the sky. Now, some of this, I'll tell you this now. The whole Jocelyn in a hospital bed, you're gonna know by the end of this book, and throughout the second book, and half of the third, Jocelyn's unconscious. In a way, she's like in an induced coma. And the whole Luke standing atop a pile of bones is, spoilers, he's a werewolf. Those of you who didn't see that coming, oh well. Because he's not a vampire. So he's a werewolf. And it's like almost a childish thing where werewolves are just like these nasty things to people. They're not. Jace with white feathered wings spreading on his back. That's a spoil. You'll find out in the third book. Well, you'll get a little bit of an interesting moment in the third book, because in the third book, oh god. First, this is also a spoiler. Jace thinks he's got demon blood, and then he doesn't. I'm not going to spoil you on anything else about what happens in the third book, because you're gonna probably think, what the hell is with this series when I finish the end of this book. But he doesn't have demon blood in him. Isabel, that's kind of... I actually don't know what's with that. I don't know. So, yeah, okay, so Isabel is a little weird. I've read the series multiple times, and I can't, I don't really know what that is. So, and then Simon, I'm gonna spoil you on the second book, he turns into a vampire. And then I'm also gonna spoil you on the third book. There's not much spoiled for the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I guess. With the second book, he becomes a vampire. And, they can't say God, they can't do religious things, at least in this series. They can't pray. And so, in the third book, Simon gets put in a cell in the Shadowhunter home country, which you'll find out about in this chapter. And there are Stars of David because he's Jewish. You find that out for this book. He's Jewish, and so they put Stars of David on the handlebars, and he tries to rip them, and they burn his hands, and he gets scars of David. Scars of the Stars of David on his hands. Though it heals quite quickly, it does happen. And the whole angels falling and burning, falling out of the sky, that is due to, that is it's almost like a spoil of the 4th book, I guess, or the 3rd, because, there's a lot of angels in the 3rd book. But yeah, I get a little twisted with that. So, enough talking about that. But all the spoilers. Let's get back to this. I told you it was the same girl. Again, it starts with Isabel, so I'm just gonna do pauses between each talking line. I told you it was the same girl. I know, little thing, isn't she? Jace said she killed a Ravener. Yeah, I thought she was a pixie the first time we saw her. She's not pretty enough to be a pixie, though. Well, nobody looks their best with demon poison in their veins. Is Hodge going to fall on the brothers? I hope not. They give me the creeps. Anyone who mutilates themselves like that. We mutilate ourselves? I know, Alec, but when we do it, it isn't permanent, and it doesn't always hurt. If you're old enough. Speaking of which, where's Jace? He saved her, didn't he? I would have thought he'd take some interest in her recovery. Hodge said he hasn't been to see her since he brought her here. I guess he doesn't care. Sometimes I wonder if he... Look, she moved. I guess she's alive after all. A sigh. I'll tell Hodge. Yeah, so I read that a bit slowly. Sorry. But now we're not into the whole mysterious thing. So, yeah. Clary's eyelids felt as if they had been sewed shut. She imagined she could feel tearing skin as she peeled them slowly open and blinked for the first time in 3 days. She saw clear blue sky above her, white puffy clouds and chubby angels with gilded ribbons trailing from their wrists. Am I dead? She wondered. Could heaven actually look like this? She squeezed her eyes shut and opened them again. This time she realized that what she was staring at was an arched wooden ceiling painted with a rococo motif of clouds and cherubs. Painfully she hauled herself into a sitting position. Every part of her ached, especially the back of her neck. She glanced around. She was tucked into a linen-sheeted bed, one of a long row of similar beds with metal headboards. Her bed had a small nightstand beside it, with a white pitcher and cup on it. Lace curtains were pulled across the windows, blocking the light, although she could hear the faint, ever-present New York sounds of traffic coming from outside. So you're finally awake, said a dry voice. Hodge will be pleased. We all thought you'd probably die in your sleep. Clary turned. Isabel was perched on the next bed, her long, jet-black hair wound into two thick braids that fell past her waist. Her white dress had been replaced by jeans and a tight blue tank top. Though the red pendants still winked at her throat, her dark spiraling tattoos were gone, save for the dark voyance rune on the back of her hand. Sorry to disappoint you, Clary's voice rasped like sandpaper. Is this the Institute? Isabel rolled her eyes. Is there anything Jace didn't tell you? Clary coughed. This is the Institute, right? Yes, you're in the infirmary. Not that you haven't figured that out already. A sudden stabbing pain made Clary clutch at her stomach. She gasped. Isabel looked at her in alarm. Are you okay? The pain was fading, but Clary was aware of an acid feeling in the back of her throat, and a strange lightheadedness. My stomach. Oh, right. I almost forgot. Hodge said to give you this when you woke up. Isabel grabbed for the ceramic pitcher and poured some of the contents into the matching cup, which she handed to Clary. It was full of a cloudy liquid that steamed slightly. It smelled like herbs and something else, something rich and dark. You haven't eaten anything in 3 days, Isabel pointed out. That's probably why you feel sick. Clary gingerly took a sip. It was delicious, rich, and satisfying, with a buttery aftertaste. What is this? Isabel shrugged. One of Hodge's tisanes. They always work. She slid off the bed, landing on the floor with a cat-like arch of her back. I'm Isabel Lightwood, by the way. I live here. I know your name. I'm Clary. Clary Frey. Did Jace bring me here? Isabel nodded. Did he ever? You got a core and blood all over the carpet in the entryway. If he'd done it while my parents were here, he'd have gotten grounded for sure. She looked at Clary more narrowly. Jace said you killed that Ravener demon all by yourself. A quick image of the scorpion thing with its crabbed, evil face flashed through Clary's mind. She shuddered and clutched the cup more tightly. I guess I did. But you're a Mundy. Amazing, isn't it? Clary said, savoring the look of thinly disguised amazement on Isabel's face. Where is Jace? Is he around? Isabel shrugged. She said, I should go tell everyone you're up. Hodge will want to talk to you. Hodge is Jace's tutor, right? Hodge tutors us all, she pointed. The bathroom's through there, and I hung some of my old clothes on the towel rack in case you want to change. Clary went to take another sip of the cup and found that it was empty. She no longer felt hungry or lightheaded either, which was a relief. She set the cup down and hugged the sheet around herself. What happened to my clothes? They were covered in blood and poison. Jace burned them. Did he? Asked Clary. Tell me, is he always really rude, or does he save that for mundanes? Oh, he's rude to everyone, said Isabel airily. It's what makes him so damn sexy. That, and he's killed more demons than anyone else his age. Clary looked at her perplexed. Isn't he your brother? That got Isabel's attention. She laughed out loud. Jace? My brother? No, whatever gave you that idea? Well, he lives here with you, Clary pointed out, doesn't he? Isabel nodded. Well, yes, but why doesn't he live with his own parents? For a fleeting moment, Isabel looked uncomfortable. Because they're dead. Claire's mouth opened in surprise. Did they die in an accident? No, Isabel fidgeted, pushing a dark lock of hair behind her left ear. His mother died when he was born. His father was murdered when he was 10. Jace saw the whole thing. Oh, Clary said, her voice small. Was it demons? Isabel got to her feet. Look, I'd better let everyone know you've woken up. They've been waiting for you to open your eyes for 3 days. Oh, and there's soap in the bathroom, she added. You might want to clean up a little. You smell. Clary glared at her. Thanks a lot. Anytime. Yep. Isabel's clothes looked ridiculous. Clary had to roll the legs. Okay, hold on. Clary had to roll the legs on the jeans several times before she stopped tripping on them, and the plunging neckline of the red tank top only emphasized her lack of what Eric would have called a rack. She cleaned up in a small bathroom using a bar of hard lavender soap. Now, I would be allergic to that soap. Drying herself with a white hand towel left damp hair straggling around her face in fragrant tangles. She squinted at her reflection in the mirror. There was a purpling bruise high up on her left cheek, and her lips were dry and swollen. I have to call Luke, she thought. Surely there was a phone around here somewhere. Maybe they'd let her use it after she talked to Hodge. She found her Skechers placed neatly on the foot of her infirmary bed. Her keys tied into the laces, she slid her feet into them. She took a deep breath and left to find Isabel. The corridor outside the infirmary was empty. Clary glanced down it, perplexed. It looked like the sort of hallway she sometimes found herself racing down in nightmares. Shadowy and infinite. Glass lamps blown into the shapes of roses hung at intervals on the walls, and the air smelled like dust and candle wax. In the distance she could hear a faint and delicate noise, the wind chimes shaken by a storm. She set off down the corridor slowly, trailing a hand along the wall. The Victorian-looking wallpaper was faded with age, burgundy and pale gray. Each side of the corridor was lined with closed doors. The sound she was following grew louder. She knew she should identify it as she sounded. Okay, now I read that wrong. Okay, the sound she was following grew louder. Now she could identify it as the sound of a piano being played. with desultory but undeniable skill, though she couldn't identify the tune. Turning the corner, she came to a doorway, the door propped fully open. Peering in, she saw what was clearly a music room. A grand piano stood in one corner. Rows of chairs were arranged against the far wall. A covered harp occupied the center of the room. Jace was seated at the grand piano, his slender hands moving rapidly over the keys. He was barefoot, dressed in jeans and a gray t-shirt, his tawny hair ruffled up around his head as if he'd just woken up. Watching the quick, sure movements of his hands across the keys, I remembered how it had felt to be lifted up by those hands, his arms holding her up and the stars circling down around her head like a rain of silver tinsel. She must have made some noise because he twisted around on the stool, blinking into the shadows. "Alec," he said, "is that you?" "It's not Alec, it's me." She stepped farther into the room. "Clary." Piano keys jangled as he got to his feet. "Our own Sleeping Beauty. Who finally kissed you awake?" "Nobody. I woke up on my own." "Was there anyone with you?" "Isabel, but she went off to get someone. Hodge, I think. She told me to wait, but I should have warned her about your habit of never doing what you're told." Jace squinted at her. "Are those Isabel's clothes? They look ridiculous on you." "I could point out that you burned my clothes." "It was purely precautionary." He slid the gleaming black piano cover closed. "Come on, I'll take you to Hodge." And I'm gonna tell you guys something. It's nice how already in their short interaction, Jace can tell that Clary does not like to listen. Ooh, she reminds me of someone. Me. I don't like to listen. Not if it doesn't really benefit me or anyone. So I will be ending this part of the recording soon. Let's see. So there's not really another place to end it, so it won't really leave you guys really that much on a pedestal. Yeah, there's nowhere else to end it. So once they start to go into the library, that's when I'm gonna end it. Because, well, I'm making this into 2 parts because it's such a long recording. And simply, I don't have the energy for that. Though I'm gonna be recording it after this once I get a drink. So, yeah. Let's just finish this up quickly. The Institute was huge, a vast cavernous space that looked less like it had been designed according to a floor plan, and more like it had been naturally hollowed out of rock by the passage of water and years. Through half-open doors, Clary glimpsed countless identical small rooms, each with a stripped bed, a nightstand, and a large wooden wardrobe standing open. Pale arches of stone held up the high ceilings, many of the arches intricately carved with small figures. She noticed certain repeating motifs, angels and swords, suns and roses. "Why does this place have so many bedrooms?" Clary asked. "I thought it was a research institute." "This is the residential wing. We're pledged to offer safety and lodging to any shadow hunter who requests it. We can house up to 200 people here. But most of these rooms are empty. People come and go. Nobody stays for long. Usually it's just us. Alec, Isabel, Max, their parents, and me and Hodge. You met the beautacious Isabel. Alec is her elder brother. Max is the youngest. But he's overseas with his parents." "On vacation?" Not exactly, Jace hesitated. You can think of them as foreign diplomats, and of this as an embassy of sorts. Right now they're in the Shadowhunter home country, working out some very delicate peace negotiations. They brought Max with them because he's so young. Shadowhunter home country? Clary's head was spinning. What's it called? Idris. I've never heard of it. You wouldn't have. That irritating superiority was back in his voice. Mundanes don't know about it. There are wardings, protective spells, up all over the borders. If you tried to cross into Idris, you'd simply find yourself transported instantly from one border to the next. You'd never know what happened. So it's not on any maps? Not Mundy ones. For our purposes, you can consider it a small country between Germany and France. But there isn't anything between Germany and France, except Switzerland. Precisely, said Jace. I take it you've been there. Idris, I mean. I grew up there. Jace's voice was neutral, but something in his tone let her know that more questions in that direction would not be welcome. Most of us do. There are, of course, Shadowhunters all over the world. We have to be everywhere because demonic activity is everywhere. But to a Shadowhunter, Idris is always home. Like Mecca or Jerusalem, said Clary thoughtfully. So most of you are brought up here? So most of you are brought up there and then you grow up. And then when you grow up, we're sent where we're needed, said Jay shortly. And there are a few, like Isabel and Alec, who grow up away from the home country, because that's where their parents are. With all the resources of the Institute here, with Hodge's training, he broke off. This is the library. They had reached an arch-shaped set of wooden doors. A blue Persian cat with yellow eyes lay curled in front of them. It raised its head as they approached, and yowled. Yes, it yowled. Hey, Church, Jace said, stroking the cat's back with a bare foot. The cat slid its eyes in pleasure. Wait, said Clary. Alec and Isabel and Max. They were the only Shadowhunters your age that you know, that you spend time with? Jace stopped stroking the cat. Yes, that must get kind of lonely. I have everything I need. He pushed the doors open. After a moment's hesitation, she followed him inside. And you guys don't get to know what the inside of the library looks like until next time. So, this is part 1 of chapter 5, Clave and Covenant. So far, you don't really know much about the Clave and Covenant, but you will. Oh, you will. Because that's coming up in part 2 of this chapter. So, yeah. This is it. I'm going to go over to the computer right now. I'm gonna check something. God, floor's so creaky. So, let's see. Yeah. Okay, did my message get something? Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, that's basically it. Yeah, guys. Again, I'm sorry, but reaction videos will not be coming out. And these will be just like black screen. Just so you guys know. It's not really like it's any different to all those other readings because it's just one picture I had, so it's not that different. But anyways, I got chapter 5, part one done. Part 2 will be coming soon. And that is all. See y'all next one.